Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
The AniMat's crazy cartoon cast has been known for its excellence. There is a California podcast by Paul Masson, inspired by that same AniMat excellence. Okay, all joking aside, welcome ladies and gentlemen to AniMat's crazy cartoon cast. And before we go and get things started, I would like to say that yes, in this episode, we got a whole bunch of exciting animation news that I would like to go and share with you all. A lot of which that will make things pretty exciting in terms of the future of animation and, of course, to go and get things crazy with the world of animation. But before I go and begin, I would like to make a little quick announcement regarding my videos, and this is especially since many of you who are either watching or listening to this are probably also a fan of my videos. And I would just like to go and say that this is actually some pretty good timing, because I actually just came back from an early screening of Abominable, the upcoming DreamWorks movie that's coming out next week on September 27th. So this is just a quick announcement that for next week, I will be putting out my review of Abominable, and will be releasing it on the same day as the film's release on September 27th. So this is just something for you guys to get excited to see coming very soon on my channel, since I am currently at work on my review and will be getting to that immediately after I finish this podcast. So with that said and done, now that I got all that out of the way, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you guys, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear you guys. Are you all ready? Alright, let's see now. We got people prepared. Alright, you ready? You ready? You ready? You ready? That is great. That is awesome. And now we can go and get things started. And for my first story that I have, I just want to go and make a bit of a clarification, because with this week, I might as well start things off with the biggest animation story that we got for this week. And honestly, I can't believe that I'm in this kind of position, because this is related to a news story that did happen months ago, and it did caught the attention of social media. A lot of people were talking about it, but I saw this as something that just couldn't be true, and no other major news stories were reporting on this. I didn't see people like Variety or Deadline or The Hollywood Reporter talking about it, so I called that reporter out who made that story as fake, and I called that reporter a liar. Well, it seems that now, many months later, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it turns out I was actually wrong. And I do apologize to that reporter who first broke the news on that story. And I can't really name or identify this reporter in particular, because honestly, I forgot his name. But as it turns out, yeah, he was warning us about this, and it turns out he was actually right all along, and I was the dumb one for calling him a liar and calling him that his report was wrong. Because yes, it looks like Warner Brothers is indeed making the Funko movie. Yes, folks, Warner Brothers has obtained the film rights to the Funko brand so that Warner Animation Group can go and produce a movie based on the Funko figures. Now, in terms of the people that will creatively be involved,
it has been confirmed that Lloyd Taylor will be on board as the writer, or at least one of the writers of the feature, in which I did a little bit of research about who this person is, and the most that I could find is that Lloyd Taylor did help out in terms of the writing of The Wild, the 2006 movie, and honestly, nothing else, like maybe a few small, short indie features, but the biggest thing he did work on was just The Wild. And also, we do have a confirmation in terms of the directors that will be working on it. First of all, we do have Mark Dindal, the animation veteran, whose directorial works include Cats Don't Dance, The Emperor's New Groove, and Chicken Little, and also Teddy Newton, which technically he's going to make his feature debut with this movie. Now, Teddy Newton has a pretty wide variety in terms of his portfolio, in terms of the stuff that he has worked on. He started out working on projects like Dexter's Lab, and then he worked on The Iron Giant, but then for the most part, he did become a Pixar veteran, where probably the most noteworthy thing he did work on was being the Oscar-nominated director of the animated short Day and Night. So those are going to be the directors that will be working on this. Now, we do actually have some quotes coming from the heads of both Warner Animation Group and of Funko, starting off with Alison Abate, the Executive VP of Warner Animation Group, as she states regarding this Funko movie that their fresh take on pop culture makes these figures incredibly appealing to fans of all ages. And then we also got a quote coming in from the CEO of Funko, Brian Mariotti, as he states, "We're thrilled for this opportunity and are committed to make an amazing Funko movie that stands on its own merit. This isn't about selling toys or building a brand." Oh my god, that is bullcrap, dude. Don't lie to me. Anyways, the team at Warner Animation Group have a unique vision of what the first film should be, and we are extremely excited to take this journey alongside them. Now, already I can say that just on that quote alone, Brian Mariotti is a massive freaking hypocrite. Because, you have never seen a massive hypocrisy from one sentence to another ever since anyone related to Donald Trump, or even Donald Trump freaking himself. Now, in this, he starts out by saying in one sentence that this isn't about selling toys or building a brand. And then literally in the next sentence afterwards, he would go on and say, the first film should be. He says of how WAG have a unique vision of what the first film should be. The big thing to get from this, the first film. So there really is a plan to go and create an entire franchise out of this. They want to make more Funko movies. If you're going to call this the first film, then you have a plan to go and create a franchise out of this, or more, make a Funko film brand. So already, you're kind of screwing up with what you're saying, is that, no, this isn't about making a brand or selling toys, when literally you just inadvertently stated that you're pretty much making a brand out of this with a Funko movie. And that's pretty much the report. Is that yes, there will indeed be a Funko movie. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I am shocked that this is a thing, that this is legitimately happening. Honestly, when I first heard about it, I thought it was something that's just way too stupid to be true. I thought this would be a really pathetic excuse to make some kind of Lego movie knockoff or something like that. It would sound a little bit too much that it would be in the veins of something like Ugly Dolls or what we are hearing about Playmobil the movie. Now, I just want to emphasize that I have yet to see the movie, but so far the reviews, they have been really, really bad and really do emphasize that it truly is a Lego movie ripoff. And the sounds of a Funko movie really does sound like it would be in the same veins. In fact, I need to go and show you a picture that would best describe my reaction when I first saw this. When I first saw that Warner Animation Group is the one that's actually doing the Funko movie, exactly in the same way that that reporter months ago described it. And honestly, this is it. This is honestly the best way to describe it. This picture is a massive mood and really expresses how I feel right now about the confirmation of the Funko movie. And for those of you that are only listening, or for those of you who don't know what this image is, this is a picture of Brer Fox from the movie Song of the South. Yes, the forbidden Disney film. This is the exact moment when he just realized that he just got tricked by Brer Rabbit by throwing him in the Briar Patch, where Brer Rabbit is like, "Please don't throw me in the Briar Patch." But then he realized that, no, Brer Rabbit was born and raised in the Briar Patch, so he's perfectly fine, and now he's free. And now Brer Fox is just looking in the distance like, oh my god, I just got screwed over. And this is exactly the same way how I feel when I see the Funko movie. Like, I just saw the news that's been reported, and seeing how it's all confirmed, like, I can't believe it. He was right all along. He reported it first, and I called him a liar for it. I thought he was a fool, but it turns out I was a fool for it. They're actually making a Funko movie. In full detail, he was right all along. It's Warner Animation Group, out of all people. Out of all people, could you believe this, man? They would go and make the Funko movie. I can't believe it. I just can't believe this. I don't know what to say. Oh God. Oh my, I was wrong all along. Like, honestly, that's the best way to describe this whole experience. That's, honestly, that's how I feel. Like, I just feel defeated and absolutely stupid for being the one that is wrong. For, like, where in the past, I just played like a massive fool. As some internet trolls would say, that I was a complete clown for saying that the Funko movie was not gonna happen. It was false rumors, that it was fake news, that it was all that. That they are indeed doing this. Oh my god. And now that it is a thing, so now that we are at the moment that we know that in Warner Animation Group, they are indeed developing a Funko movie, like, honestly, I'm just flabbergasted, and I could see so many different ways that it can go wrong. Or, in internet terms, I can see this legitimately become the next Emoji Movie, because I can pretty much say right now, and this could honestly be something that could upset a lot of people, is that I can definitely see the main reason as to why Warner Animation Group wants to make a Funko movie is that they need to find a replacement for the Lego Movie, since this year we saw the death of the Lego Movie franchise. And I know it might seem a bit unbelievable, and we might hear about, like, possibly some television projects that are going to be developing in the future, more so than just Unikitty. But we just saw, like, as a movie franchise, we just saw it dead in the water. The Lego Movie 2, the second part, is pretty much the reason. Because there was some hype for it, and when it was released, it did get a bit of positive reviews. But it turned out to be a box office bomb. Warner Animation Group actually lost money on the Lego Movie 2. And it's honestly relatively shocking, considering that it was the sequel to the most hyped up movie of the decade. It was the movie that made Phil Lord and Chris Miller filmmaking superstars. It really is the feature that put them where they are today. And it is relatively strange considering that it was released when the whole hype of Lord and Miller, or more so, the hype of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, was at its peak, where it was gathering all the awards at the Annies, at the Golden Globes, and even at the Oscars. So you think that there would also be massive hype for the Lego Movie 2. Sure, Lord and Miller were not the directors of it, but they still were involved as the writers and the executive producers. But it looks like not many people were not that interested, and the majority of people even state that it is inferior to the original Lego movie. So, unfortunately, it doesn't have as much power as it did back in the mid-2010s. So now, Warner Animation Group has to go and find a replacement, which is Funko. And it's pretty much very similar to the Lego movie, where it is a film based on a toy line. It is very vague in terms of its theme, so they can go and incorporate all the different pop culture references as they want, where in the Lego movie we saw different references like to Harry Potter, to Lord of the Rings, to DC, and I mean especially with the fact that Batman is one of the main characters. And like, I can imagine they'll probably do the same thing with Funko, where we're going to see so many different pop culture references related to different Warner Brothers properties, maybe with the Looney Tunes, maybe with nostalgic stuff like Space Jam, like somehow bring in Michael Jordan or the Monstars onto this, bring in Harry Potter, bring in, who knows, maybe they could also bring in Lego movie references, bring in like Smallfoot, bring in bring in like whatever Warner properties, or even bring in like some of the bad guys, do like in the Lego Batman movie at the end, like bring in either like Pennywise, or bring in the Wicked Witch of the West, or bring in whatever. Just bring in whomever they want to go and develop their entire franchise out of this in order to make a Funko movie. The similarities are there, but I really do believe that this exists because it's meant to be a replacement for the Lego movie. Now, I will say, though, that there is still that very strong possibility that it could turn out to be good. I mean, they are, like, this is Warner Animation Group. They are the people that did create the Lego movie. And at the time, people were a bit weary of it. Like, before that film was released, a lot of people seemed to be a bit confused. They didn't know how it would be developed. And before even that, the only credentials that Lord and Miller had was just a garbage animated feature with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and 21 Jump Street, and that's it. Like, nobody knew them as, like, actual creative directors until the Lego movie was fully released, and then, like, their popularity and fame and creative input really rose up from there. So, with the Lego movie, it showed that with the right people, they can go and create something amazing, even with such an abstract idea like a movie based on Legos. So there could be that chance that they could do the same thing with Funko. And I actually have seen some mixed reactions. I thought that this would, honestly, in terms of the reactions, I thought it would be more like the Emoji Movie, where it would be unanimously hated. But as it turns out, I saw that it was mixed, where, yeah, you got some people reacting that way, but then there are those that are pretty optimistic, especially when it comes to the people that are involved, most namingly with Teddy Newton and Mark Dindal. Mark Dindal, we know as the guy, like, yeah, he did direct Chicken Little, but he also was the guy that did direct The Emperor's New Groove, one of Disney's funniest movies they've ever created, and also Cats Don't Dance, in which many people consider it as an underrated gem. And then you also got Teddy Newton, who is a veteran at Pixar, working on numerous of their films, and also created Day and Night. So having his feature debut, it could be very beneficial to this, and maybe we could actually get something strong out of it. Maybe, like, my doubts would actually be wrong, and they could find out to be something amazing. So the notion of having Warner Animation Group does help a little bit. Like, I can imagine there would be a little bit more backlash if it were from another studio. Like, if this was picked up by either Illumination or Blue Sky or Sony Animation, then there could be a much stronger chance that a lot of people would give it so much hate and so much backlash. But the factor that it is from Warner Animation Group and that they are the creators of the Lego movie, they did show that they could be capable of doing a project like this. However, that doesn't mean that there's not a chance that it could also go wrong. And that's honestly my problem that I have with it. Sorry, I have a hair in front of my face and it was just getting annoying. Like, it was on my eyesight, so I just needed to get rid of that. But as I was saying, there's still that chance that it can go wrong. And I could definitely see the ways where, if handled poorly, then this will receive the massive backlash that some people think it could get. And and this could even get the title as the next Emoji Movie. So for me, I do see where it can go either way. This is an idea that's just so crazy, so abstract, and so odd, where I feel like this can either go great for Warner Brothers, or this could be absolutely terrible for Warner Brothers, that they could have their own Emoji Movie. So that's the thing. The Funko movie could either be the next Lego movie, or it could be the next Emoji Movie. It could pretty much go either way at this point. And also, I'm sure there are some people who might ask about my position on Funko stuff, like on the Funko brand and Funko Pops. I'm gonna be very honest, I'm not much of a massive Funko collector. Like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to go and collect a whole bunch of different Funko figurines. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have some, and I do have a few in my little collection, but I'll just say right now that the grand majority of them are just Mickey Mouse. Like, and it's not even all the Mickey Mouses. Like, I'm not gonna go and actually collect all the 90th anniversary Mickey Mouse Funko Pops. Like, I already have a few, like the Steamboat Willie one, the Fantasia one, and also the band concert one. But other than that, like, I got my Epic Mickey Funko Pops, of course. I got a couple of the Kingdom Hearts ones of King Mickey, but other than that, that's pretty much it. So hopefully that will answer your little question on my side of Funkos. But yeah, overall with this Funko project, like I said, it could pretty much go either way. This could either be the next Lego movie or the next Emoji Movie. So now with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you all think about the Funko movie? What do you think that... What do you think about this project now that it seems like it's going to be happening? Do you think this could turn out to be a great project? Do you think this could turn out to be a disaster? Let me know what you all believe. Oh, I'm sure that the chat wall will have some interesting things to say at this point. Okay, let's see. Well, the Funko movie? They're about to use not just the ones from Warner Brothers, but the ones that are based on non-Warner Brothers media. We'll probably be a bit iffy on that. What will the FCC say about this? It's gonna turn out to milk the real-life toy movies. Well, it turns out into becoming a weird universe of real toys. Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit debatable, honestly. I mean, on one hand, yeah, it's easy to imagine that they could just go and use mainly Warner Brother properties. But then again, you do look at the Lego movie, and it did happen where they did actually use some non-Warner Brothers properties. Like, we did see some references to different franchises that are not originally from Warner Brothers. We saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was The Simpsons, where Milhouse was involved. We also saw, of course, there was that reference to Star Wars, where where at one point there was the Millennium Falcon that came in. So maybe there is a possibility that maybe we'll see they'll do the same thing with Funko. But I highly doubt that they would bring in The Simpsons or Star Wars, considering that those things happen actually. I believe like they got those properties before that Disney would come in and purchase the rights to Fox and Lucasfilms, or just buy them, not just their rights, but just buy them, period. So I guess we'll see in terms of like what will be referenced in the Funko movie. Let's see. I will say this, there could be a potential if they're making this unique and has the charm with good writing. But I have to admit, this pretty much feels like this is not a good chance to make and perhaps cash grab and the Lego movie. Though I hope if they take inspiration, but not a complete ripoff, but we'll still have to wait. Exactly, this just... Right now, it just sounds too abstract of an idea, and it could go either way. So, we'll just have to hope that Warner Brothers does supply the right people to go and handle this kind of project, and hopefully not too much executive interference. But that could also be a major thing that could really screw this project over, and especially considering that it's not just Warner Brothers that's going to be keeping an eye on this, but also Funko. You know, that could be some dangerous territory where executive interference could play a major part in this. Okay, let's see now. I would likely be skeptical about the film, but considering the talent behind it and Warner Animation Group's track record with animated films based on toys, I'm a bit curious. But based off of the recent animated films based on toy lines, I gotta ask, will this film be another musical? Maybe they can get Lionel Richie and Gus Fring Pop that has half its face blown off, and yes, that was a thing that existed. That was a thing that existed. Yeah, I know, that does seem to be a bit of a cliche when it comes to these movies based on toys now, because we are starting to see a bit of a rise of non-Disney animated musicals, and keep in mind, this is Warner Animation Group. We know that they are guilty of that as well. Maybe not with maybe with the Lego movies, they do have a little bit of musical numbers, especially, like, with the Lego Movie 2, where it's not a musical per se, but it does have some musical moments. But especially what I'm referring to is with Smallfoot. Now, that one was undeniably a musical, filled with bland pop songs and that one good Zendaya song. That's honestly the only thing that I do remember much in terms of the music from Smallfoot. Alright, let's see now. But I can't keep my mind on Smallfoot. I gotta make sure that, okay, I'll just make small references to that other Yeti movie, and I need to keep Abominable in my head so that I can continue making my review after all this. Okay, let's see now. What I like about your podcast is that you would acknowledge that you would make mistakes and respect you for that. How do you feel about the Lego Movie's excuse when the studio would make this movie when the studio who made this movie made the Lego Movie? I noticed that you are not as mad when talking about this movie being announced as much as when Sony announced the Emoji Movie. I'm less interested in this movie and more interested in I Hate Everything's video, I Hate the Funko Pop movie. Yeah, well, honestly, to answer that question, I would say that I have matured and I have grown up, where unlike many people, I do have the ability and I do have the courage to go and apologize and admit when I screwed up and when I am wrong, especially in this case. So that's probably one way to go and answer your question, is that I've grown up. I have matured. So, more so than most others. So yeah, but we'll see how it is. Like, honestly, this thing has only been announced and it can pretty much go either way. So honestly, the best thing we have to do is just wait and see, but I don't know, there's still a part of me that does dread for the worst. Okay, let's see now. Do we have anything oh, again, not familiar with Funko, so I have low expectations. Oh, that's short and sweet right over there. I'll probably go and read one more comment. As a Funko Pop collector and an animated film lover, oh, okay. Now this is interesting. This is one good catch of a comment in the chat wall. Okay, so as a Funko Pop collector and an animated film lover, I don't know how to feel about this. Just because you have two separate things that have good qualities, don't mean you should combine them. Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka the Chocolate Factory is a great example. Oh, I know that very well. But there are just too many Lego Movie clones nowadays, and they're all starting to blend together, like you said. It'll be interesting to see if this will become the next Emoji Movie or the next Lego Movie. True that, man. True that. Okay, so now with that out of the way, now we know that we have a bit of mystery on this, and there could be a lot of anticipation, there could be a lot of doubt, but we'll have to wait and see. I just would like to add that there's no confirmed release date, but I can imagine that maybe Warner Animation Group, if this continues on, if things go well, then we could possibly see either a 2022 or 2023 release date. But when it comes to our next story, I can definitely say that there's going to be a lot more optimism out of this. Now, we are still staying within the same realm, not necessarily Warner Brothers or Warner Animation Group, but we are still staying in the Warner Media circle with our next story, considering that they have made a pretty quick pickup on this because this project was just announced not too long ago. But it looks like the Freemans are coming back much sooner than expected. And I'm talking, of course, about the Boondocks reboot. Yes, Warner Media has officially picked up Aaron McGruder's Boondocks reboot, which apparently they are scheduling it for fall 2020 on their upcoming streaming service that they are bringing out in the spring of next year, HBO Max. But it's not just the reboot itself. They have actually went and picked up 2 seasons of it, and they're also going to be bringing out a 50-minute special. And on top of all this, they are also going to go and release all 55 episodes of the original series that aired on Adult Swim. Now, the reboot of the Boondocks was actually announced not that long ago, just a few months ago, in fact, at the Annecy Animation Film Festival, where I believe it was Christine Belson, the president of Sony Animation, has announced that she has collaborated with Aaron McGruder to go and do a Boondocks reboot. And it's all part of Sony's animation plan to really expand the company, where they're also going to go and make adult-oriented animated television series. And this was possibly the biggest highlight and the biggest announcement that Sony has done, debatably, this year. And to go and read you a little bit from my source here in the wrap, for those of you who might not necessarily be familiar with the Boondocks, it is stated right here that the Boondocks reboot, which is a co-production with Sony Pictures Television, updates the cult subversive satire for the modern era. It chronicles the adventures of the Freeman family against the evil local government tyrant, Uncle Ruckus, who rules the fictional Woodcrest County, Maryland, with an iron fist. And we also got a few quotes, first off coming up from Aaron McGruder himself, as he states, "There is a unique opportunity to revisit the world of the Boondocks, and do so, and do it over again for today. It's crazy how different the times we live in are now, both politically and culturally. More than a decade past the original series, and 2 decades past the original newspaper comics. There's a lot to say, and it should be fun." We also got a quote here from Kevin Riley, the chief content officer of HBO Max, and also the president of many of Warner Media's channels like TBS, TNT, and True TV. As Kevin states, "The Boondocks was a revolutionary series that sparked conversations on hot-button issues and brought dark subjects into the light with episodes like the trial of Robert Kelly, the fundraiser, and the story of Gangstalicious. Aaron is a gifted visionary whose unique style and storytelling is a welcome voice, and we are elated the Freemans are making their thugnificent comeback on HBO Max." Ugh. Ooh, dude. Thugnificent? Really, man? You got it, like, I don't know, there's just something about an executive, like this big, like, suit and tie executive saying something like thugnificent. There's just something that feels off. It just feels wrong. I don't know, like, out of all the people, like, yeah, it's probably okay for Aaron McGruder to say something like that, but for the chief content officer of HBO Max to say something like thugnificent, it's just, no, dude, no, don't do that. Don't do that, man. Don't say that. You're not the kind who should say that. I'll just leave it off at that. But yeah, I can definitely say that with this project in particular, unlike the Funko movie, where I can see both ways of how it can be either great or disastrous, I have a lot more optimism on this in particular. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm like a major watcher of the Boondocks series. I haven't really read much of the comics, and I've only even seen just some episodes of the Boondocks. And I am aware that not all the episodes are massive hits. In fact, I did hear that in the later episodes, that's when the series really went downhill fast. But in terms of this in particular, when it comes to the good episodes, The Boondocks is the kind of series that when it has its good episodes, it can have its amazing episodes. When they're good, they're actually amazing, they're thought-provoking, and it really is a smart and clever series. And hearing that this series would come back with the creator of the Boondocks, in fact, honestly, I feel like there's a lot of very strong potential right over here. I can definitely see this be a great addition onto HBO Max. And on top of that, what really does get me excited about this is regarding the Boondocks itself. I am a bit familiar with how the series is and how the franchise is in general. And the thing with the Boondocks is that right now in this day and age, they got more than enough material to go and discuss whatever they want, because we really do live in an age where we are surrounded by massive hot button topics. Rather it be the current stance of climate change, Flint, Michigan not getting their water, the entire Trump administration, Donald Trump himself as president, the hashtag #MeToo movement, the scandals of many different celebrities, Michael Jackson and the Leaving Neverland controversy, where we would have some people that would prove evidence that he did do it, and we also have evidence that the documentary Leaving Neverland lied. There are so many things, like, and not just that, but also YouTube culture, cancel culture, so many different hot topics and new different topics in which the Boondocks could be more than capable to go and discuss this. Because this is definitely the kind of series that's not afraid to go and tackle on these subjects. And it's not just satirizing them, but when it has something to say, they can be pretty much direct about it. In fact, on the episode of the trial of Robert Kelly, it's the kind of episode that it's not necessarily making jokes about it. When they would go and discuss the subject matter, it's just honestly direct. It would just go in and say, yeah, he did it. He pretty much did it. Oh yeah, he's a monster. He's a predator. Yeah, R. Kelly should be thrown in prison, which thankfully he is right now. And honestly, another great episode that I do remember, and one of their more controversial episodes, is an episode that for some reason Martin Luther King Jr. returned, and they would make a commentary on how he would see modern culture. Like, would he be proud of the movement? Like, would he be proud of the political advancements and the advancements in equality that we do see among races? No, he would actually, like, they actually showed that, no, if Martin Luther King Jr. would be alive today, he would be pissed off. He would look at all black people today and think that they are all freaking idiots. Like, it is something that's not afraid to say what it wants to think and be controversial. And that is something that I feel like it's highly admirable. And in this day and age, I feel like they got, like I said before, they got more than enough material to go and tackle on these subject matters. And honestly, if they can do it well, then honestly, we're going to be in for something absolutely amazing. Something that could even replace South Park, which right now, even though it's one of the most successful animated series of all time, really is in a massive controversial stance where a lot of people are, I'm starting to see more and more people are saying that it really has run off its course, and many people are losing a lot of admiration on Trey Parker and Matt Stone when they used to be like someone that would be more straight in the middle, but now they are stating that they are more and more conservative, which is starting to turn off a lot of people. So honestly, if this could be a South Park replacement, then I could be more than welcome for it, because at least now we can actually have a series that could actually be intelligent when it comes to bringing in some controversial subject matter. So honestly with this, even though it is just going to be on HBO Max, which is going to be on Warner Brothers streaming service, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be something that I will catch. If I don't even know if I would be getting HBO Max in the first place, because I know I'm going to get Disney Plus, but HBO Max, I don't know, because we are definitely living in the age where streaming services are indeed turning into cable television. Yeah, honestly, I really do have good faith in this, and I do really wish Aaron McGruder and the entire team behind the series, hopefully they can make something amazing out of this. And hopefully the comeback of the Boondocks could actually turn out to be great. So we'll just have to wait and see. We do have a confirmed release date of fall 2020 of the Boondocks' comeback on HBO Max. So if you guys are really interested and if you are intrigued in getting HBO Max, then definitely consider the Boondocks to be a show to go and check out. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know what you guys think about the return of the Boondocks. Is this a series that you want to go and check out? Are you guys not necessarily interested? Are you excited? Are you concerned? Let me know what you all think. Okay, let's see now. The hype is on. I am watching episodes of the Boondocks and thought it was amazing. Love the characters and love the writing. I haven't seen season 4 yet, and probably never will. They've got tons of material to work with. They should do a commentary on SJWs and the alt-right. They should make a commentary on Black Lives Matter. They should also make an episode of Black conservatives like Candace Owens and Jesse Lee Peterson. Oh, dude. Oh, dude, I think you got some things here that it's going to be quite obvious. Like, those are also some massive hot button topics that they're definitely going to get into. Black Lives Matter, I think, is going to be a guarantee. A commentary on nationalism, that, you know, honestly, yeah, I think, like, considering that race can also be a massive subject matter here, I think, like, the talk of the rise of white nationalism, that could definitely be something. Talking about mentally ill African Americans like Candace Owens and Diamond and Silk, like, honestly, I would love to see if they would go in that direction, but let's be honest, they're most likely just, like, maybe the way they'll just represent it, it'll just be Uncle Ruckus in drag, because Uncle Ruckus is already acting as much of a psychopath as much as those nut jobs, so maybe they'll just do that. It was like, I'm Candace Owens. I'm here to represent all them conservatives around here. You do what I say. Wait, I'm black? What do you mean I'm black? I'm a full-on Caucasian. I'm a part of the Aryan race. Oh, the possibilities are endless with this. Okay, now, let's see. Well, I am glad that Aaron McGruder is returning to write on the Boondocks reboot, since the 4th and final season of the original Boondocks that had no involvement with Aaron was freaking trash. Okay, so it does confirm one thing that I previously stated before. It's pretty much, the 4th season. It's later on. The 4th season is the one to go and skip. Okay, gotcha. Oh, yeah, but I do have good faith. And I think, like, the reason why I do have good faith in it is really because of Aaron McGruder's involvement. Let's see. I haven't seen the Boondocks at all, but I imagine it will be a powerful series when it comes back on HBO Max. Much like Rick and Morty, it could replace South Park. Okay, that's definitely nice. Let's see now. I'm definitely interested to see how this goes. Even though I've never watched the Boondocks, this reboot has a lot of potential, especially considering they seem like they have plenty of material to work, especially with things that have happened in our modern society. Exactly, and that's the reason why they need to come back, man. That's why we need the return of the Boondocks and the Freemans. We need the Freemans to bring justice in our modern culture. Alright, let's see now. I've never seen the Boondocks, but it does seem intriguing. Judging by this, the themes of satirizing modern-day subjects, like you said, there is so much. Even too much material to work with here. But no matter how it turns out, let's face the facts, it should be more interesting than the third Big Mouth season. It could. Who knows how it could go. Oh boy, but yeah, it would be interesting to see like some of the other subjects that they would get into, like the other comment that they stated earlier, you know, also talking about some of the left-leaning subjects, as I stated already with you know, with modern, with you know, maybe with the problems of the hashtag Me Too movement. I am a supporter of the hashtag Me Too movement and cancel culture, but I do know that they have flaws as well, like maybe with SJWs and maybe with the little problems with with some of the extremism of feminism, even though feminism is a good thing and all anti-feminists are just sexist anyways. But you know, like, they'll point out the flaws, but also point out some of the good stuff of it as well. Like, I definitely do trust them to make commentaries on that. Let's see now. I'll go and read one more comment here. The Boondocks is an amazing show. It's smart, funny, and intelligent. I wish the best of luck of Mr. McGregor. Because of the impact that this show made back then, it most definitely deserves a reboot. Granddad, Ruckus, Huey, Riley, I can't wait to see your crazy asses again. The universe needs it. Martin Luther King would be proud of McGregor right now. Yes, at least that's going to be one thing that Martin Luther King can be happy about when he would come back to the modern age. Okay, so now that we have the Boondocks coming back, the next story that I want to talk about is going to be a bit of a bonus miscellaneous. Now, this might not be something that could interest a lot of people, but for me, I feel like this is something that is really exciting to go and talk about. And we gotta give this company credit now that at least they are doing something about it. Because you might have heard about this news and maybe you just glanced over it and moved on. But the point of this subject matter is the fact that Disney is gonna do an original live-action movie. And I'm talking, of course, about Knights. Yes, Disney has stated that they are early in development to go and create a live-action family adventure called Knights. Reading from my source here in Deadline, it is stated that it is set in the European Middle Ages, and we understand the original pick will follow a headstrong young woman who joins a knight on his quest to destroy a world-threatening artifact before it falls into the wrong hands. Now, as I've stated before, it is still very early in development, but they do have a few people that are involved with the project. They do have some executives that will be looking into this project, including Jessica Virtue and Chaz Salembeer. I believe that's how you say his name. And we also got Matt Orton to go and write the script. And just recently, one of Matt Orton's works was recently featured back last year with the MGM movie Operation Finale, which had people like Oscar Isaac, Ben Kingsley, and Melanie Lauren. It is also stated in my source on Deadline that other medieval-themed projects Disney has in the works include the Sword in the Stone reboot with director Juan Carlos Fresnadillo and Game of Thrones scribe Ryan Cogman, and the Merlin Saga, which has Ridley Scott attached. And on top of that, I would also like to add that there is a very strong chance that, for now, it looks like it's going to be a... Woo boy, excuse me. It looks like the little hot dog bites are coming back. Anyways, as I was stating, they have said that it is most likely going to be a theatrically released movie more so than just a Disney Plus title. And I can already see that a lot of people are saying, what about Noelle? Well, Noelle doesn't necessarily count because the thing is, Noelle is going to be released on Disney Plus. I'm talking about movies that are going to be released in theaters. And honestly, the main thing to really go and emphasize, it's not necessarily the factor on Knights itself. It's not really the fact that they're going to make this medieval movie. It's more the fact that Disney is making an original live-action movie, not based on anything. And you can go and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that they have done so ever since 2012 with The Odd Life of Timothy Green. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that was the last time that they've made a live-action film that's not based on anything. Everything afterwards is all based on something in terms of the Disney live-action films. Like, all the movies that they have afterwards, they're all based on something. Rather it be based on a book, like A Wrinkle in Time. It could be based on a ballet, like The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. It could be based on, like, one of their theme park attractions or a section of the Magic Kingdom, like either Tomorrowland, Pirates of the Caribbean, or the upcoming Jungle Cruise. And then it goes without saying, their live-action remakes, the films based on their animated films. And we all know very well about their entire collection of that. But here, this is based on nothing. This is based on a completely original idea that just came out of someone's mind. Now, it is true, though, that when you do look at the plot about a young woman joining a knight in the European Middle Ages to stop some evil force or something like that, I can give you that it doesn't sound all that original. It doesn't really sound like a unique idea. It sounds like it was already done in the veins of, like, The Princess Bride, or maybe something like Quest for Camelot from Warner Brothers. But still, at least it is something. This is honestly, something that I see and I feel proud of Disney actually doing, because let's be honest, even if this movie doesn't turn out to be a box office hit, or if the movie itself turns out to be hot garbage, like one of Disney's worst movies in years, at the very least we could say that, well, at least they tried to do something original. At least they tried to go and be unique in terms of the kind of movies that they would go and distribute and to go and create. At least they don't have to rely on already existing material to go and create a feature. And that, I feel like it is something admirable that hopefully this could be the first step of Disney trying to do something, that they don't have to rely on existing franchises or already existing IPs or properties or anything like that to go and make their movies. Now, part of this, and the reason why I say that I feel glad, and I feel like more people should feel glad, is that it is true that we do live in the age where now people are starting to be pretty much fed up of remakes and reboots and sequels and franchise movies and all that kind of stuff. Now, of course, a lot of people are still really getting into those, but there is a bit of a backlash. We are starting to see a lot more people getting a bit fed up of those. That they're sick and tired of hearing that their favorite movies of the past are getting remade again for the modern era. People are getting sick and tired of it. And yes, I mean, like, I'm not gonna exclude Disney on this. In fact, they probably played a bigger role, more so than any other studio on that. And this week was actually a very prominent example of it. This week, we saw massive hate and massive backlash towards Sony Pictures because it was the CEO that revealed that he heard a lot of different ideas in order to go and make a Princess Bride reboot. And you gotta keep in mind, like, that was actually just something that exploded social media, like on Facebook and on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, where people were furious at Sony Pictures, debatably even more so than them separating Spider-Man from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, there was massive backlash against Sony Pictures, not on an announcement, not on the greenlighting of it, but just the sheer thought, the idea of maybe they could do a Princess Bride remake, just the concept of that thing existence was enough to get people furious at Sony. And that really does show how people are getting fed up, and that's why I feel like with this, we should admire Disney for actually doing some kind of effort for releasing an original feature film. Now, yes, that, they are still developing a lot of different sequels and remakes and all that kind of stuff with their live action movies, but at least with this, it will be unique. And if you want Disney to go and create more original movies, then I feel like this is honestly something that we should go and support. This is honestly a project that we need to go and spread the word about and make sure that it can go and sell tickets so that hopefully it can encourage Disney to go and develop more original movies for live action films, to not leave the animation department to do all the heavy lifting in terms of releasing original works. Now, I know some people might say, well, what about Fox? I mean, they're going to be like, now they're considered Disney movies. Don't they have original stuff? But I mean, like, directly from the Disney brand. I mean, I legit mean a live action movie that starts out with the Walt Disney Pictures logo. Like, that needs to be original. And at least this will be something. Honestly, I don't know how this movie is gonna go. We're still really early in production. Maybe this thing might unfortunately turn out to be canceled, but honestly, for now, I feel like this is a good step in the right direction for Disney to at least get back into, if anything, for them to go and, get a bit of a morality back in order to go and express some creativity and originality, to bring originality back to Disney's live action productions. So honestly, for that, I do applaud Disney's efforts to go into that direction, and hopefully this will encourage them to do so more often than just relying on franchise projects or just relying on existing IPs. So with that said, I would like to go and just want to get into the chat wall, and I want to ask, what do you all think about Night so far? Do you think it's great that Disney is doing an original project? Are you not really that into the idea of Nights? Let me know what you guys think so far. Let me just get my water. Alright. Yes indeed, my dudes, originality in the House of Mouse is not dead. Praise the Lord. But seriously, I'm glad that Disney is taking steps towards an original feature film, and I'll likely check it out when it hits theaters. But one thing I will say, however, is that considering the film itself, I just hope it does better than the Black Cauldron. Yeah, I think we all hope that it's not going to be the black sheep of Disney. Would it be ironic, though, that they would go and release this and somehow it ends up becoming a box office bomb so bad that somehow a live-action Care Bears movie ends up doing better than Nights? Oh my god, that would be massive irony right over there. Okay, let's see now. Let's see. Didn't Disney already announce an original live-action movie called Sade last year? You should look it up. Also, Nights kind of reminds me of Quest for Camelot. It's got a quote-unquote headstrong woman joining the Knights, a knight on a quest. I don't know. I honestly haven't heard of it. Like, it was probably something that flew under everyone's radar. Like, you could be right on that, but I don't know. But, like, at least this one, like, it does sound promising, and especially maybe they could bring it back the same way Pirates of the Caribbean, bring back middle-age Knights movies in the same way that Pirates of the Caribbean brought back pirate movies. Maybe it could be something like that. Let's see now. What else we got? For once, I'm half grateful Disney is finally making an original film, but simultaneously, it may not be as original as we think, and The Odd Life of Timothy Green may not have been the best of original films. Yeah, I know, like, I'm not saying that The Odd Life of Timothy Green is a masterpiece. Like, yeah, sure, you could be original and a piece of crap film at the same time. I am aware of that. I'm just saying that at least it is better to be original than to be based on an already existing property, because, like, with an already existing property, it just makes you look lazy. At least with an original property, at least you're trying, At least I could give that kind of credit. My thoughts are just meh. I'm not interested in this at all, and I'm more interested in their animated movies. Also, you claim that Disney hasn't had an original film since 2015. Well, technically 2012. But what about The Finest Hours and the Disney Nature documentary? You could be right. I mean, like, I'm not saying that I'm right on this. I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me, if I made some errors in some of my statements. Well, the nature documentaries don't count because they're nature documentaries. They're not movies. They're kind of in a different league than live-action production, so I just want to lay it off there. You know, like, there's a difference between a live-action movie and then you got Tim Allen narrating a bunch of gorillas going, trying to bring back his old Home Improvement charm. So, let's see. I'll go and read one more comment here. Let's see. With Ridley, I think that this person mistaken. Let's see now. I'm going to see Disney making original live-action movies. However, it might be a box office flop because Disney's original live-action films might not sell well. Case in point, John Carter and the Lone Ranger. It's a risk, and it could turn out to be a flop, but let's be honest, Disney can afford it. Disney had a massive box office flop this year with Dumbo, but we know they are more than perfectly fine because they are the ones who release some massively successful films that are really beloved by the public, like Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Lion King, Aladdin, Toy Story 4, and more to come. So honestly, like, even when they have a box office bomb, even if they have the biggest box office bomb, Disney will be fine. Alright, so with that said, now we're gonna go and jump onto our next story, where we are gonna be discussing about a certain studio that I'm not all that familiar. I had an experience with them once, but I've heard a lot of different stories when it comes to many of their other projects. And this is a studio that did hop from different animation place to animation place to go and develop their projects. They would go with Warner Brothers, and they would team up with several Hanna-Barbera characters for some reason. Like, somehow we need to bring back Scooby-Doo, the Jetsons, and the Flintstones for this reason. They went with Sony Pictures Animation, and they decided to bring back Surf's Up, and now they are going to Paramount, where they are going to be making a wrestling movie. Yes, and that studio that I'm talking about is, of course, WWE Studios, where now they're teaming up with Paramount Animation in order to go and create a movie called Rumble. And everything seems to be massively set up for this movie called Rumble. They even got a cast already involved with it. The movie is stated here that it's going to have celebrities including Will Arnett, Terry Crews, and Geraldine Viswanathan. I think that's how you say her name. Is it Geraldine Viswanathan? Maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong. But also at the same time, as it is a WWE movie, it will be featuring wrestlers as well, including Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns. And to read a little bit from my source here in the wrap, it is stated that in terms of the plot, the movie is set in a world where monster wrestling is a global sport, and monsters are superstar athletes. Winnie seeks to follow in her father's footsteps by coaching an underdog monster into a wrestling champion. We have also got a director that's going to be a part of the movie, which is going to be from DreamWorks veteran Hamish Grieve. And believe it or not, folks, what seems to be the most surprising fact about this is that this movie is coming soon. Yes, this is actually going to be coming out next year, in fact, in the summer of 2020, where this Wrap article even states that 2020 is definitely going to be quite a busy time for Paramount Animation, where so far, with the addition of Rumble, they got 4 movies released, half of which, though, are going to be live-action animation hybrids. It's stated that in terms of those hybrid movies, they have Sonic the Hedgehog and Clifford the Big Red Dog, but the animated stuff, of course, there's Rumble, and the third SpongeBob film called The SpongeBob Movie, It's a Wonderful Sponge. So that's pretty much the news that we got with all this. And I gotta say that, to be honest, I really have my doubts with this one. Like, I honestly don't know if this could turn out to be a hit or if it could turn out to be crud. Because, as I've stated before, I did have one experience with a WWE Studios movie, and the rest I've heard some crazy stories with it, especially with the animated films. Now, as you guys probably know, I actually did do a review, and I did an AniMat's watches of Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania, where they decided to add wrestlers in a movie where they have surfing penguins. And, you know, it was a massive disappointment to see that thing, because the thing with Surf's Up was that even before that I've matured and I've grown up, Surf's Up I find to be a great movie. In fact, I still stand that Surf's Up is the greatest animated film released by Sony Pictures before Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But then you got Wave Mania coming in and pretty much drags Surf's Up all the way down into the same bottom tier league as Sony's other animated projects like Open Season, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, The Smurfs, and Hotel Transylvania. And the thing is, with the other projects, with the other stuff, like the Flintstones with WWE, or the Jetsons with WWE, and Scooby-Doo with WWE, I've heard different stories about them, and I have heard that they can be quite stupid, but apparently they could also be amazingly stupid. At their best, they could be at the point where it's just so dumb and so off the wall that it can pretty much supply its own entertainment. But there has never really been a time that I've heard about an animated WWE movie and someone would just sit there and think, oh yeah, you know what, this is actually a pretty solid film. I think this is actually pretty good. Yeah, this is a great, and this is a fine piece of animated quality entertainment. This is just beautiful. This is magnificent. I'm surprised this hasn't even been released in theaters. So honestly, with those stories and my experience with Surf's Up 2, it honestly puts me into massive doubt with what they can do with this. Honestly, I just don't know if this really can be something that could be worth our time. If really, somehow adding wrestling would be the secret ingredient to make a beautiful animated feature. But then there is also the factor of Paramount Animation. And I just want to go and state right now that I do understand that there is a lot of hate so far with Paramount Animation, especially the fact that many of their recent films, especially with this year with Wonder Park, it's just a massive disaster, and now they're pretty much the new face of being a joke of the animation industry. Like, they pretty much took the place of Sony Pictures Animation for that. And regarding Paramount Animation, what's interesting to note is that even though they don't really have much in their library so far, like with just Sherlock Gnomes, Wonder Park, and I think the second SpongeBob film, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, I think that also counts as well. Like, right now, people are pretty much seeing it as a joke. And whenever the subject of Paramount Animation would come up, I've seen a lot of people comment that they think that Paramount Animation is going to be my next Sony Animation. That this is going to be the next animation studio that people, especially me, to go and hate on, to go and make massive rants about, saying that they suck, their animation sucks, and to go pretty much nostalgia critic level kind of rage for that. In which I am going to say to those people who think that, who think that, I'm just going to say, no. Just no. If you see people asking if Paramount Animation is going to be my next Sony Animation, they're asking that because they want Paramount Animation to be my next Sony Animation. They're the kind of sadistic kind of people that do enjoy reviewers just being over-the-top angry, and are still the kind of people that just watch the Nostalgia Critic because their humor consists of just like a critic just shouting and getting angry and consider that quality entertainment. Like I said, that's why they still watch the Nostalgia Critic to this day. And to those people, all I have to say for you is just shut up. Just no, nothing else. Just shut up. So with that said, though, I do have hope for Paramount Animation. You know, the thing is that, yeah, they have a really crappy start. And a lot of the movies that they've released so far, they're hot garbage. But honestly, I do see potential in them. I do want to see Paramount grow as an animation studio and to be a legitimate competitor and hopefully to be, like, really get up in the ranks. Like, yeah, it'll be easy to get in a higher rank than Sony Animation and Blue Sky, but to really get up there, like, you know, to be against, like, with DreamWorks, with Illumination, with Disney, with Pixar, with those guys, you know, to really be up there. And I do hope that one day we will see a project, and maybe an original project, who knows? Maybe Rumble could actually be that project in particular. Like, yeah, they're definitely gonna go and rely a lot on properties. Like, next year, the Rumble is their only original movie that they're gonna release. Everything else is all based on an already existing intellectual property, whether it be Sonic, SpongeBob, or Clifford the Big Red Dog. But honestly, I do, you know, I want to have hope. I want to see them grow as a studio. I want to see them deliver some interesting stories, to go and deliver different styles of animation. I want to, you know, they are only starting, and hopefully the 2020 decade will be kind to Paramount where they will grow. Because, yeah, it is sadly true that Paramount as a studio, like, they have faced some massive flops and they have received some massive damages. But hopefully we will see them rise once again. Hopefully, like, we won't see a massive downfall to just Paramount in general. And, you know, maybe they could do some good. We're not sure, but hopefully, like, some, you know, like, we will see them pick up and not get bought out by a different studio. So, like, honestly, I want to have faith in Paramount Animation because they are still starting and we do need to see them grow. And honestly, maybe this could be it, maybe this won't, but honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. But in terms of my opinion in Rumble, I'm not gonna hold my breath on this. Like, I'm not, like, that much of a wrestling fan, but maybe this could turn out to be a pretty solid story, you know? Maybe this could turn out to be a well-executed underdog sports story, but for now, I don't know, man. I don't know, especially, like, when you do have people like Will Arnett and Terry Crews. I mean, they really are likable people, and I mean, someone like Will Arnett does have some good credentials, like being in BoJack Horseman and the Lego Batman movie, but we are talking about the same guy who was also in animated films like The Nut Job, and usually when his name does appear in animated films, that would not be a good sign. So, honestly, I do have a lot of concerns, probably as, I don't know, like, maybe this could turn out to be good. Like, I want to be optimistic and hopeful, more so for the sake of Paramount Animation, but I'm not gonna lie, and I could see this, going the wrong way. Like, maybe not as disastrously as Wonder Park, but, honestly, I could see this go in a pretty bad direction at the same time. Alright, so, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask, what do you guys think about this movie Rumble? Is this a movie that you guys are interested in? Do you think that this is going to be what Paramount Animation needs to really get up into the ranks in the animation realm? Or do you think this is going to be as much of a crap fest as their straight-to-DVD animated films? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see now. Let's see. Will this movie finally cause the extinction of the WWE crossover movies? I hope so. With all the crossovers Tom and Jerry made with Willy Wonka, Wizard of Oz, and I'm glad they didn't go with a crossover with WWE. Regardless of how bad or good it's going to be, for once they can try and actually make a solo animated WWE movie by themselves, without letting the other franchises get in the way, and see how well it goes. By the way, this is coming from a guy who only knows WWE through video games, and this person actually does bring up a very solid point because, to WWE Studios' credit, they are developing some original projects, and I do believe this is the first time that now they are bringing out like a mainstream animated feature that's not based on a property. Like, now they are collaborating with, now they're collaborating with like a big animation studio, and they don't have to rely on an existing property. They don't have to collaborate with SpongeBob. They don't have to they don't have to team up with a Nick show in order to do some crazy wrestling series. They're now just doing it on their own. And again, this goes into the element of originality that I have talked about before with Disney's Knights. And it is something that it is worth admiring, and we gotta give them credit that at least they're gonna go and create something original with it. So that is a pretty good point. Let's see. To its credit, it does have a decent enough premise, and Terry Crews is always a delight. I can debate that, honestly. Yeah, Terry Crews, I do agree. For the most part, Terry Crews can always be fun to watch, but he was also in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too, and even in there, Terry Crews was not enough to save that disaster of an animated piece. The closest thing that a major animation studio has done to create a food fight. And you cannot change my mind on that no matter what. Anyways, as I was saying, let's see, always have a delight. But overall, this just sounds like one of those Hanna-Barbera WWE self-insert fanfic films. And considering what Paramount has in store next year, I think their standard good film next year is going to be The Sponge Boy. Maybe it'll redeem the studio from such average messes as Wonder Park and Sherlock Gnomes, but overall, this Rumble doesn't sound royal. You never know. Maybe not. It's just, who knows, man. Let's see. I'm looking forward to Rumble mainly because this is a real effects production, and they may be they made the underrated film The Book of Life. I'm also happy that Paramount is really serious about getting competitive in animation, considering that they revealed a new logo and mascot on the same day. Well, actually, well, about that, actually. Also, Matt, this isn't an original film. This is based on the graphic novel called Monster on the Hill. Oh, okay, well then, never mind. I'm surprised that this article didn't even mention it, surprisingly. It didn't even mention that this was based on Monster on the Hill. I don't know, maybe you could be right, maybe you're wrong, but who knows. Anyway, and it didn't even mention that, okay, well, it did mention that Real Effects and Walden Media are also a part of it, of course. Forgot to leave that, forgot to add that in. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see now. I have massive doubts on this project. We have a WWE movie releasing in theaters. I've never been a WWE guy, so this movie isn't hooking me. Also, have you seen the new... again with that. Oh, good God. Guys, calm down with that thing. Okay, anyways, let's see. I have hope for this. I actually have a bit of promise. It actually has a bit of promise for me. However, with the reputation of Paramount, it's not going good. Sherlock Gnomes, who asked for that? Wonder Park, die in a fire. But I know Paramount can do it. They can grow, and one day they will be on light with there will be a light that will wake their inner talent of great movies and help them become the studio they need to be. So, we know it's there, and that's the thing. We know they have the potential. We know they have the talent. They just need to let it out. And trust me, Wonder Park and Sherlock Holmes, it ain't it. Okay, so with that said, it is now time that we shall go into the grand finale. And I know you guys have been asking about it. But yes, now let's go and freaking talk about it. Because we are still staying in the realm of Paramount Animation. And what's funny to note is that this is actually going to be related to not necessarily regarding an animated project that they have. It's not going to be about their hybrid films or their animated films or any other kind of projects that they would have in the future. This, believe it or not, is actually going to be regarding a logo mascot. And we are kind of familiar with logo mascots in terms of animated films, and sometimes we would see them come in from time to time, and plenty of major animation studios already have those. There are some that have already existing characters that they would use as their logos, like we have Mickey Mouse from his first appearance of Steamboat Willie for Disney Animation. We got a Minion from the Despicable Me films, that's always in the logo of the Illumination Entertainment films, where we would just see a minion just just hopping around going, we would just see them hopping and going, Illumination! Illumination! Then we also have Blue Sky Studios, which I don't know if they do that all the time, but there are some movies that they would also have Scrat from the Ice Age films trying to chase his acorn. Sometimes he would go and make an appearance. And then there are companies, also I almost forgot to mention, of course, Studio Ghibli, where we have Totoro as their mascot, where right now it's like pretty much, with all these characters, they have become synonymous, like Mickey with Disney, Minion with Illumination, Scrat with Blue Sky, Totoro with Studio Ghibli. But then there are companies that created their own original character for their logo. And I mean, technically, you got Luxo Jr., I guess, that's a character that's more in between. That it's not based on one of their movies, but now Luxo Jr. has pretty much become more well-known as the mascot of Pixar, as the little lamp that hops on the eye. We know about those guys. We know about that. That's more something in the middle. But then you have DreamWorks that created a completely original character with the little boy that's just fishing on the moon, in which a lot of people have dubbed him Moon Boy. And then there is Sony Pictures Animation, in which they don't really have one, but I guess for now, unless they can produce more movies that are in the veins of Spider-Verse, right now their logo mascot is the poop emoji. But anyways, going back into this, what I'm talking about, of course, though, is actually going to be with Paramount Animation. And for that, let me just say hello to Star Skipper. Oh, crap. Wait a minute. I just realized something. Actually, let me redo. You don't mind if I redo that a little bit? I just realized I didn't put up the audio for it. Hold on. Let me play that for you again. Yes, what you just saw, and probably what you heard if you're only listening to this, is the new logo for Paramount Animation, in which they created something that's a lot more colorful and a lot more stylized, but still traditional to the classic Paramount logo, where you got the mountain and all the different stars that are surrounding it with the Paramount name that's right on top of the mountain. And for this, the person we should give credit to in terms of who made it, just to read a little bit from my source here in Variety, it states, Variety got an exclusive first look at the logo and character design from artist Christopher Zibak, who worked on DreamWorks' Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, as lead visual development artist and art director. And what's interesting to note is that this article from Variety called Meet Star Skipper, Paramount Animation's magical new trademark logo character. Oh boy, excuse me about that. So this article, which is written by Matt Donnelly, it's actually a very interesting read. If you are an animation fan, I highly recommend you go and check this one out. Which also does include a little interview from the head of Paramount Animation, Muriel Soria, in which they would talk about things like the new direction that Paramount Animation is going. They talked a little bit about Star Skipper, like, why did you make a logo? Why did you make her a tween girl? like, how are things going? What's the new direction in Paramount Animation? And she would go and discuss about you know, the representation in women, the massive diversity that's in Paramount Animation, the goal that they're trying to do to go and develop different stories, different art styles for their animated films, also looking into already existing properties, on which ones they want to go into. Like, they did talk about a little bit about CBS and how they are working on SpongeBob, but also how they want to go and create a live-action animation hybrid based on Mighty Mouse, and maybe the idea, like, just throwing it out for funsies, if we are going to see Star Skipper having her own movie. But then again, like, with the amount of years that DreamWorks has been on, since when have we seen a Moon Boy movie, you know what I mean? Alright, but going back into this is the optimism that I have for Paramount Animation, and this is what I'm talking about, that I want to see them grow, and I want to see them, you know, become a better animation studio. And this is honestly the kind of thing that I'm talking about, and this honestly really does highlight a lot about what I mean, what I want to see, and how they are determined to really grow as an animation studio and to really stand strong. Now, of course, like, they can have a few damages from time to time, rather it be massive flops like Wonder Park, or even a little bit of controversies, like they had a little bit of their #MeToo moment when one of the original director of Wonder Park, I believe it's Dylan Brown, who used to be a Pixar veteran, ended up getting fired because of sexual harassment. You know, there are some damages, but, you know, they do still want to go and stand strong and be unique as an animation studio, and they want to grow as an animation studio, and they do have the like, you could definitely see from reading this article, they do have the passion, they do have the determination, they want, like, and you know, they do want to go and set themselves up in order to go and have some major successes. I believe this year they even did announce a lot of crazy projects that they want to do for Paramount Animation, one of which, probably the oddest project that they did reveal, was actually, they want to do an animated Spice Girls movie. Yeah, that's not a joke. It does seem strange, but hopefully they will bring in the talent and they will have the strength in order to go and actually create this. And by making this logo, you know, it is a step in the right direction. And I mean, a lot of people can look at this and say, well, come on, this is just a logo. It doesn't really show much. But then again, it does express a lot about what Paramount wants to do as a studio, how they want to build their stories, how, you know, how they want to emphasize different art styles. And I mean, like, we do see a little bit of different artwork that's actually going on. Like, we do have a little bit of a real setting, maybe a bit stylized, but then we do go a little bit in the cartoony route where we see, like, you know, like the cartoony clouds, how the mountain itself actually looks painted, the colors that are used, like, they're a lot more vibrant and they really do pop out, especially like the orange and yellow sky is just like, it's just like right in front of you, which is a good contrast to you know, to the green mountain that's a little bit gray as well. But it, you know, it's not, you know, it doesn't you know, it doesn't like mess up one another. It does blend well together. And even like with the blue logo of Paramount Animation, it does work well. I do feel like it does bring out a strong, you know, it does bring out something strong. But honestly, it does give me a bit of hope. There's not, you know, I will admit, there's not really a lot to go and discuss about this, because after all, this is just a logo, but at least this will be something. At least it does show that they want to go and put their stamp in the animation industry to really stand out and say who they are. And having a logo mascot can really help. Like, you know, like the examples that I've brought out before. When you would see a Minion, then of course you would think Illumination. When you would see Totoro, you would think Studio Ghibli. When you think of Luxo Jr., you think of Pixar. And they're trying to do the same thing with Star Skipper, that they want to go and try to really highlight that when you see, like, when you see this little girl trying to skip a rock, which suddenly magically poofs into a star, you're going to think Paramount Animation. Like, all this is to try to go and set up for them to become a unique animation studio. And for that, I really do wish Muriel Soria and her entire team at Paramount Animation the best of luck. But so far, with the diversity that they want to do, the inclusiveness of women, the massive inclusiveness of women, may I add, and building up this logo, hopefully we will see some great things coming out of Paramount Animation. Maybe it will be from their existing property projects like SpongeBob and Mighty Mouse. Maybe it could be from some of their original works like Rumble. Who knows, but honestly, I do hope Paramount Animation can be a name in the animation industry, can be looked up upon. Who knows how it's going to be, but again, I wish them the best of luck. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall and I want to know what you guys think about Paramount Animation's new logo. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know what you all think. Oh wow, and I'm surprised I finished all my water. Alright, anyways. Let's see right over here. Wow, this new logo looks so creative. I'm so happy that they finally made a new logo. But the only con about it, as my prediction, that they're about to replace the Paramount Pictures logo, I think. Looks like it means that the future original Nickelodeon movies, it will use this logo. This does remind me of DreamWorks Animation logo and the Ravio Animation logo mixed with the Paramount Pictures logo. Yeah, I do get what you mean. Like, maybe not necessarily DreamWorks, but I definitely see the comparison with the Ravio Animation logo, the logo that you would find before the Angry Birds movies. And with that one, you do see the similarities, like with the water, and like there's this thing that suddenly turns into the logo itself. Now that I could definitely see the comparison, and especially like with the whole background and the, you know, the whole setting. Like, even though like Ravio, I believe, is a little bit more jungle centric, and this one, of course, is more of a forest with a mountainside. Like, it's meant to emphasize that aspect, so maybe there is that. Let's see. I quite like the logo. It's very well animated and oh so colorful. It's brief but memorable, which I think makes for the perfect company logo in my opinion. If I ever see a Paramount Animation film in the future, I will for sure be looking forward to see this wonderful sequence on the big screen. I will say, though, there is one massive downside to it, is that if you're going to be looking forward to just the logo, then chances are maybe everything else will just be downhill from here. Like, imagine if this is in front of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and somehow the new redesigns didn't fix up the whole thing. Like, if the new designs didn't fix the problems of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, like, imagine you got this beautiful logo and then suddenly it goes downhill with every beat you hear. Okay, let's see now. All I can say is that I feel that Paramount Animation has done some great work on Star Skipper. We will have to see if she will be as iconic as Pixar's Luke So Jr. or DreamWorks' Boy on the Moon. Also, this may not be related to this news, but I do have to ask, do you remember the 21st night of September? Ah, yes, the 21st night of September. I have no idea what you are referencing, to be very honest. I don't know. I know the 5th of November. I don't know the 21st of September. Alright, but I'll go and read one more comment here. This logo looks great. Having a female mascot is pretty important, as many logos have a male mascot, which is definitely true. Very happy to see Paramount stepping up their animation front, just hoping for the best of their upcoming films like Sonic, SpongeBob, and maybe Rugrats, if they are involved with that movie. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And with that said, I think this shall conclude today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and this definitely was a wild ride, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. And what an intriguing episode that we've had, and hopefully this amount of craziness shall continue in the next episode. But for now, I'm gonna go straight into making this review of Abominable, which will be coming out directly on September 27th with the release of the movie. So with that said, I would just like to say thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!